10 signal words for the present perfect tense. We use the present perfect tense when we are talking about an action in the past that has not been completed at the moment of speaking. Therefore, this action started happening in the past and it has continued to this moment because I am talking about it. So now I have a question. How is the past perfect tense formed? Well, it's formed with the help of the verb to have, and we have a little formula. Have or has plus the past participle. But how do we know when to use have and when to use has? Well, now we know. I have, you have, he, she, it has when it's the singular form. However, in plural form, we have, you have, and they have. So you see, we use have most of the time in singular and in plural form, except for the third person singular, he, she, it has. Our first signal word is since. For example, Tom has lived here since he was a teenager. Therefore, we have has lived, which is our formula. Has plus past participle, lived, and we have since. So when we have or has plus our past participle plus the word since, we can be sure that it's the present perfect tense. I have been a teacher since I finished college. So we have, which is our auxiliary verb, plus been, which is our past participle, and we have since. Now we know that this is the present perfect tense. Our second signal word is for. I have lived here for 5 years. We have the auxiliary have, we have our past participle lived, and we have for. We know it's the present perfect tense. Tom has worked at the same place for 15 years. We have has, we have worked, and we have for. I have been learning English for 2 years. Therefore, we have the auxiliary have, we have been, and we have our signal word for, which means that this sentence is in the present perfect tense. Our third signal word is already. For example, Tom has already called me. We see that we have the auxiliary verb has, and we have our main verb, which is called, which is the past participle. However, we see that already is located between the auxiliary verb and the main verb, and that's where it's usually located. For example, I have already finished my homework. We have the auxiliary have, already, and our main verb, which is of course the past participle. So we see that already is usually located between the auxiliary verb and the main verb in a sentence. Our fourth signal word is yet. As you can see, yet is mostly always at the end of the sentence. Our first example is a question, and because it's a question and because we know that this sentence is most likely in the present perfect tense, we have has at the beginning of the sentence. Has Sally called yet? We see that has, which is our auxiliary verb, is in the first place. Then after it, it's our subject, Sally. Then we have our main verb called, which is of course the past participle, and we have yet at the end of the sentence. Has he finished his homework yet? Again, we have has at the beginning of the sentence. Finished, we know, is the past tense. However, this is our past participle, and we know that yet is at the end of the sentence. I haven't talked to her yet. So this is a negative sentence because I haven't talked to her yet. Yet is also at the end of the sentence. We have the auxiliary have not and our main verb talked. Our fifth signal word is before. For example, I haven't seen her here before. We see that before is almost always located at the end of the sentence. We have our auxiliary have not and our seen, which is our main verb, and it's the past participle. She has never talked to me before. We have our auxiliary has, we have never as the negation, we have talked as our main verb, and we have before at the end of the sentence. Our sixth signal word is ever. For example, have you ever seen this before? Now we see that ever is usually located before the main verb because seen is our main verb. Or has Tom ever spoken to you? We have both of these are questions. Have and has are at the beginning of the sentence. Then we have you and Tom, which are the subjects of this sentence. Then we have ever, and then we have our main verbs, which are seen and spoken, and of course, it's the past participle. Our seventh signal word is never. For example, Tom has never talked to me, or I have never asked them for help. We see that never is usually located because it is a negation. It is located between the auxiliary verb and the main verb because these sentences are negative sentences. For example, Tom has never talked to me, he has never talked to me, and I have never asked them for help. Therefore, if it was a positive sentence, it would be I have asked them for help. But because I haven't, we have never. So we know that if we have the auxiliary verbs have, has, and if our main verb is the past participle form of the verb, then we know that, yes, that it's the present perfect tense, and because we have never in our sentences. Number 8 is so far. So our eighth signal word for the present perfect tense is so far. They have only sold 5 books so far. Or so far also means until now. So for example, we have our auxiliary have, we have our main verb, which is sold, which is the past participle form, and we have so far. We know that this sentence is in the present perfect tense. I haven't received your letter so far. Therefore, I haven't received it until now or thus far. Haven't, received, and so far are our signals that this sentence is in fact in the present perfect tense. And our ninth signal word for the present perfect tense is just. So we have she has just invited me to her party. Just is usually located between the auxiliary have or has and the main verb. In this case, it's invited. Invited is in the past participle form. So for example, we have has just invited and we have they have just arrived. We see again that just is located between the auxiliary have and the main verb arrived. They have just arrived. Have just arrived tells us that this sentence is in the present perfect tense. And our last but not least signal word is until now. I haven't noticed anything until now. We see that until now is usually located at the end of the sentence. So for example, I haven't noticed anything until now, and she has never talked to me until now. However, until now can also be used at the beginning of the sentence. However, after that, there is a comma. So we have she has never talked to me until now. We have has, our auxiliary, never is our negation, and talked is our main verb, and we have until now. All of these words point to the present perfect tense. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and share us with your friends because there will be plenty more videos to come in English.